Okay, good morning, everyone. This is yet another session of guided newspaper practice. Today, we are going to do a guided newspaper practice on instant messaging. All right. So, what do we do as a part of these sessions? We make you improve your skimming skills. We also make you improve your speaking skills. And then we also ask you to frame opinions, which all of these are helpful for all the sections of IELTS, right? So let me know if you are here. Just give me a message on the chat box. Sam, Suraj, Avinash, Madhvi, hi. Yes, good morning, everyone. We'll get started soon. Good morning, Avinash, Suraj. Yes, all right. So today's guided newspaper practice is about instant messaging. Now, something that we do every time, every day, right? So this article will help you understand what instant messaging is. And I've picked this article because it's most relevant in our lives. Everybody uses instant messaging, right? Okay. All right. Now, why is it important for you to do guided reading? Why do you have to do these sessions? The importance of these sessions is that you are able to understand the context of a certain article or a certain blog without exactly understanding all the words that are there in that. And why is this important? When you get long articles in your reading section, you will have to make sure you don't stay at a word, you're moving forward in the passage, right? So that's why we have these guided newspaper sessions that happen every day at 11 a.m. Okay, so if you guys haven't subscribed to our channel, just make sure you do that so that you receive an alert. Okay, and if you feel that these sessions are not relevant to you, you can simply unsubscribe. Okay, hi Vishav, Devyani, Shiv Kailash, Sana, Akhilesh. Good morning, everyone. Okay, let's get started with today's session then. So, today's session is about instant messaging. What I will do first is you will just listen to me reading this article. Okay, that's the first thing that we'll do. The second thing that we'll do is we'll read this together. I'll make you understand what this article is all about. And then we will do some guided speaking, as in, you will repeat after me with the same kind of stresses and pauses. And then we will do some opinionated activity, as in, you will frame opinions about instant messaging. Okay. Okay, let's get started then. Let's get started with the session. Hello, everyone who's joining in. Jyoti, Jatin, Aishu, Dharani. Good morning. Okay, let's get started then. This is about instant messaging. Okay, so you just have to pay attention to what I'm trying to read now and try getting the meaning of the passage. Okay. Instant messaging differs from email in the immediacy of the message exchange. IM also tends to be session based, having a start and an end. Because IM, as an instant messaging, is intended to mimic in person conversations, individual messages are often brief. Email, on the other hand, usually reflects a longer form letter writing style. Generally, IM users must know each other's username or screen name to initiate an IM session or to add them to their contact list or buddy list. Once the intended recipient has been identified and selected, the sender opens an IM window to begin the session. For IMing to work as intended, both users must be online at the same time. Although nearly all instant messaging platforms now allow asynchronous interactions between online and offline users. If online messaging is not supported, attempting to IM an unavailable user will also result in a notification that the transmission cannot be completed. In addition, the intended recipient must be willing to accept instant messages, as it is possible to configure the IM client to reject certain users. When an IM is received, it alerts the recipient with a window containing the incoming message. Or, depending on the user's settings, a window could indicate an IM has arrived, along with a prompt to accept or reject it. Many IM clients also notify the user audibly with a distinctive sound, such as a chime or chirp. The user can be notified visually by flashing the IM window or its taskbar icon when a message has arrived. I'm sure all of you have understood the intent of this particular article. So just give me a percentage again as to how much you understood. I'm sure you imagined how IM works, right? That's how you understand the any unknown article. But this was easy. Did you guys understand this? Except, of course, there were a few words that were less common, or there were a few words that were maybe difficult to understand. But other than that, this article is fairly easy, right? Just give me a percentage on the chat box. Komal, hi. Gayatri, hi. Dolly, good morning. Manpreet, good morning. Jia, Monali, Shilpa. Okay. Okay, great, great. Good job, good job. Good in understanding, good job in understanding the article. Let's now do some guided reading. Okay, I'll go a little slowly this time and tell you the meanings of certain words that are less common. Maybe we've heard them somewhere, but they're not used every time, right? Good. This is an easy article otherwise. All right. Okay. So let's start over. Instant messaging differs from email in the immediacy of the message exchange. What is immediacy? That's in something that's immediate, something that's instant. Okay, in the immediacy of the message exchange, as in something that's instant. That's how it differs. Instant messaging differs from email in the immediacy of the message exchange. So it happens instantly, immediately. Okay. IM also tends to be session based, having a start and an end, right? You start from a hi, hello to say, yes, see you later, right? That's instant messaging. It has a start, it has an end, right? Because IM as an instant messaging is intended to mimic, what is mimic? Intended to imitate in person conversations. As in, they look like two people are talking to each other face to face, right? That's what instant messaging does. Individual messages are often brief. Again, what is individual messages? So, hi is brief. How are you is again brief. Good morning is again brief, right? So, individual messages that you send are often brief. You don't complete writing the entire point that you're trying to convey in one single message. You send a lot of instant messages, right? That's what they mean. Again, brief, small in size. Okay. Email, on the other hand, usually reflects a longer form letter writing style, as in it's a slightly longer letter writing style of messaging someone. Okay, that's the difference between instant messaging and email. Okay, let's now move to understand how this instant messaging works. Generally, IM users must know each other's username or screen name. I'm sure you know what username or screen name means. On WhatsApp, we have a screen name, right? On Facebook, we have a username, correct? Or on other platforms too, we have a username. To initiate an IM session, what is initiate? To begin, to start, right? IM users must know each other's username or screen name to start an IM session or to add them to their contact list or buddy list. Correct? So you understand this sentence which says that you should know a person's username for you to add them into your contact list. Once the intended, what is intended again? So targeted, whoever you want to send the message to. Intended recipient, as in whoever you want to send the message to, has been identified and selected. The sender opens an IM window to begin the session. So what do you do when you send a message? You search for that person, you open the IM window, and then you begin the session, as in begin the messaging. Okay, that's what the sentence says. All right, so right now we're just at the point where we've started to send the message. We have not yet sent anything. Okay, all right. For IMing to work as intended, again, intention is to do something with a purpose, right? It's the purpose of doing something. as intended, both users must be online at the same time. As in, if you have to receive a message from that person, the other person has to be online, you have to be online at the same time. Okay, that's what they say. Although nearly all instant messaging platform now allow asynchronous interactions between online and offline users. What is asynchronous? Again, what is asynchronous? Something that is not simultaneous, something that does not happen together. That's what is asynchronous. Okay, so now allow asynchronous interactions between online and offline users. So, what does it mean? If you send a message, it can be that the person has received it, but unless the person comes online, he or she will not be able to respond to you. So, it allows you to send the message despite that person being offline, right? Okay, if offline messaging is not supported, as in if you can't send a message when the person is not online, attempting to I am an unavailable user. What is unavailable? Someone who is not available right now, correct? User will result in a notification that the transmission cannot be completed. Again, notification. So he receives an alert. I mean, the sender receives an alert that the transmission, as in sending the message, cannot be completed. Okay. So this is what happens when a person is not online, or offline messaging is not allowed. So are you guys able to understand this now? It's a very easy article. It's very relevant, so you guys can easily imagine certain unknown words, right? Devyani, Vandana, Yasin, Devyani, good, Shubhra. Yes, you guys are able to get it now, right? Good, good. Now let's just do the remaining portion of the passage and then we'll move to guided speaking. In addition, the intended recipient must be willing to accept instant messages, as it is possible to configure. What is configure again? To set something, right? To set up something, configure the IM client to reject certain users. So what happens when you block a certain user? You will not be the sender will not be able to send messages to you, right? So it is possible that you are not willing to accept messages at all, or you have switched off instant messaging, Facebook Messenger. If you're not on Facebook Messenger, no one can send you a message on Facebook, right? That's what they mean by if you're not willing to accept instant messages. Okay, so that's what they say as a part of this paragraph. All right, now what happens when an instant message is received? Let's check that. Okay, when an IM is received, if it alerts the recipient, again gives a notification, that's what it means. It alerts the recipient with a window containing the incoming message. Okay, as in it gives a pop-up saying this is the message, this is what the message is. Or depending on the user's settings, a window could indicate an IM has arrived along with a prompt to accept or reject it. Again, very similar to Facebook Messenger or LinkedIn Messenger, where you get a message saying, this you've received an IM. Do you want to accept it or reject it? Instagram also does that, right? So it gives you this indication that an instant message has arrived along with a prompt to accept or reject it. Do you want to accept it? Do you want to reject it? What is a prompt again? Some kind of an alert, some kind of an action button is there in that particular message. So that's a prompt. Okay. All right. Now the next sentence, many IM clients also alert the user audibly with a distinctive sound, with a different sound, with something that's differentiable. Okay, something that you can differentiate with the other sounds. Okay, such as a chime or a chirp. What is a chime sound? The notification that you receive on your email, on your emails, or on your WhatsApp or anything, that's a chime or a chirp. It can be any sound basically. Okay, so that's many IM clients, as in many IM platforms, give this sound or notification to the recipient's alert box. Okay, so the user can be notified visually also and with a sound too. Okay, so that's what it says here. The user can be notified visually by flashing the IM window or its taskbar icon when a message has arrived. Okay, all right, great, great. Great job in understanding this article. Now, I'm sure you know exactly how instant messaging works now. If you guys are not from that background, I'm sure you understood this, right? Okay, great. Nirja, Saini, Vandana, Yasin, Alekhya, good job in understanding this article. Let's now move to guided speaking. So this is what you do when you read a certain long passage. This is what you do. You don't try to understand every single word that's there. I'm sure you understood probably 90% of the article the first time. Now you understand it completely, right? Correct? So that's the meaning. No, chime or chirp is not an idiom. Chime is a word, chirp is a separate word. Chirp is a sound of a bird. Chime is a sound of a certain. It's called a chime again. So chime is chiming sound. So if you don't know what chiming sound sounds like, the alerts that you receive on your mobile, Devyani, that's a chime. Okay. Okay. All right. So most mobiles have the same kind of alert today. All right, let's move forward and do guided speaking. Now, why is exactly guided speaking important for you? Guided speaking helps you understand the kind of stresses that you should put and the kind of pauses that you should have while you speak out a sentence. Okay, and this is important for a particular band descriptor called pronunciation in your speaking test. All right. Okay. So let's do this sentence by sentence. You will repeat after me. I will just pause after 4, 5 words and you will repeat the same way that I am doing it. Okay. And when you do this every day, you will become comfortable with the language. And because you're speaking to yourself, it's not that you're nervous or you're scared or something. Okay. All right. Great. Let's move forward to guided speaking now. All right. Okay. Instant messaging differs from email in the immediacy of the message exchange. Immediacy of the message exchange. That's how it's pronounced. IM also tends to be session based, having a start and an end. Because IM is intended to mimic in person conversations, individual messages are often brief. Email, on the other hand, usually reflects a longer form letter writing style. It is good if you read the phrases after the comma together and try and separate phrases that make sense. I mean, group the phrases that mean the same together. Okay, that's how you read well. So, email, on the other hand, usually reflects a longer form letter writing style. Okay, that's how you end a sentence. You do it on a falling note and then you start a sentence on a rising note. Okay, all right, let's move on to the next paragraph now. I hope you guys are doing it along with me. That's how you will find this useful. You have to repeat and you have to speak out loud. Okay. Okay, great. Generally, I'm here. Generally, IM users must know each other's username or screen name to initiate an IM session or to add them to their contact list or buddy list. Once the intended recipient has been identified and selected, the sender opens an IM window to begin the session. Okay, great. Now that this paragraph is done, let's just do one more paragraph and then we will move to writing sentences. For IMing, okay, that's how it's pronounced, IMing. For IMing to work as intended, both users must be online at the same time, although nearly all instant messaging platforms now allow asynchronous interactions between online and offline users. If online messaging is not supported, attempting to IM an unavailable user will result in a notification that the transmission cannot be completed. In addition, the intended recipient must be willing to accept instant messages, as it is possible to configure the IM client to reject certain users. All right. Now, when you use these negative words like reject, cannot, not supported, you have to kind of stress on them. All right. And when you use these positive words or when you place a comma, you have to make sure that you pause there. These are certain things that you need to understand. And when you do this every day, you get used to the language better. All right. Okay. So, did you guys do this along with me? Just give me a yes if you did this along with me. Okay. All right. Good job. Good job, everyone. Okay. So let's just try and frame sentences now with certain words that we learned today. So we learned immediacy today. We learned asynchronous, right? We learned that word. Now, asynchronous is something that does not happen simultaneously. Immediacy is something that's instant, right? The act of being instant. That's immediacy. Okay, so can you guys try and frame sentence with asynchronous now? You know exactly what asynchronous means. Let's try and frame a sentence with asynchronous. Okay, so when you try to be asynchronous with your colleague at work, it the product you will never achieve productivity, right? So when you have a colleague at work and you are not thinking alike, or maybe you're not doing things together, things that you're supposed to do together, your productivity will not be as much, right? One example of asynchronous. Think about another example of asynchronous and frame the sentence. Try framing the sentence. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, another word that I have for you today is configure. So as it is possible to configure the IAM client to reject certain users. Now, what is configure exactly? It's not used only in technological terms or only when you're talking about a certain software, but it is also used to maybe used in general life. Suppose if you want to configure your maybe configure your life in a certain way, you will have to work hard in a certain way. So that is also a good example of configure. Okay, think about example sentences for these two words and then maybe put it on the chat box. Okay, great. So both words today are slightly on the computer side of things, but I hope that you understood the English meanings of these two words as well. All right, great, great. So asynchronous is an adjective, whereas configure here is a verb. Okay, so you'll have to think of that and then post your sentence accordingly. Okay, so Madhavi has a sentence: state and central governments should not be asynchronous. Good, very good example, Madhavi. All right. The productivity and utilization are not asynchronous in my work. Good. My friends and my thoughts are asynchronous. Okay, good. Yasin Patel, Shilpa. My phone is asynchronous with my, okay, all right, with my email ID. But that's a slightly different term, not used or not relevant here. Okay, great. Good examples, all of you. Sam has an example. There are some machines which function asynchronously. Good. Good example, a good way of using the adverb of asynchronous as well. All right. Okay. So now what I want you to do is to frame an opinion, something that you do when you write an essay in your IELTS writing task 2, right? So I want you to think whether instant messaging has there are many platforms that offer instant messaging, right? You obviously know WhatsApp is one of the biggest instant messaging platform. There's also Facebook. There's also other platforms on Apple, FaceTime. You have all these things. Now, is it good that you are having suddenly so many platforms, whereas a decade ago or probably 2 decades ago, we did not have instant messaging at all? So, do you think that this trend of having a lot of instant messaging platforms is good or is it bad? Okay, I want you to think and post a sentence on the chat box. Again, you will have to frame your opinion now. The question here is, do you think that the rise in instant messaging platforms, the number of instant messaging platforms that we have, is it good that we have so many, or is it bad that it's kind of affecting the users privacy sometimes? So you receive a message, you have to respond, you receive a message and you respond. So otherwise it's becoming like a cycle, right? So you stay on the mobile, your screen time on the mobile is increasing suddenly. Is it good to have that or is it bad to have that? Okay, try thinking about it and posting a message on the chat box. Okay, so the others will also be able to see your sentence. All right, good sentences with configured: Sainath, Madhavi, Divya, Sam, Avinash, Jyoti. Okay, great, great. So let's now, that's it with the guided newspaper practice today. I will now talk about the advanced programs that we have. So, our advanced program is called the Fast Track program, and it's a 3-month intensive training program. So, all the learning resources that you have are added on an exclusive app that we have, and you get the access to the app for about a year. Now, this particular app has video lessons for you to learn from and some PDF handbooks for writing and for grammar. Okay, so apart from that, you also receive practice sets every day from Monday to Friday. And in the evening, there's a session for you that discusses the practice set that we sent out in the morning. So, Monday to Friday, that's the schedule. On weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays, you have the weekend live classes. And these happen for a longer duration where we cover all the basics of that section. So we pick 1 week for each section and we give an additional week for grammar as well. Okay, so this 5 week cycle, we give 5 weeks, 4 weeks for IELTS sections and 1 week for grammar. This 5 week cycle will repeat for you for nearly 100 days. All right, and during this time you will also be able to ask doubts to us, the chief coaches, directly on WhatsApp, and also you will be able to get personal reviews on writing and on speaking. And these, you get 10 full reviews, as in you are able to also get reviewed on listening and in reading. All right. So all these materials, all these learning resources come to you immediately after you have enrolled. Now, if you are interested to enroll in the program, there's an admissions form link in the description of this particular video. You can click that and fill out the admissions form. Okay, so once you've done that, a counselor will get in touch with you and explain the program in detail. Okay, so I will see you guys in another newspaper practice session. Good job in giving me the sentences, but I also want to look at some opinionated sentences. Sam, Jia, Niruja, great. Okay, Madhvi also has given a good example on instant messaging. All right, great. Keep putting your sentences. All right. Okay then. Have a good day. Bye bye. Take care.